It's all right to butter God up. And he inhabits the praises of his saints. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord, everybody. Praise the Lord. Got your war clothes on? Yeah. You know, praise is your war clothes on. Yeah. A moan is your war clothes. This means war. Yeah. Right. My hallelujahs belong to God. Yeah. Amen. When you can be in the midst of a trial and a tribulation, and still got joy that's unspeakable. Amen. That's when you declare war. And no matter what's going on the outside, something down on the inside, he's telling me to go ahead. Go ahead and go ahead. God is the glory. That's what you need to be a believer. God got a game plan. God got a strategy. Amen. And to allow us to be able to, whether we're on the mountaintop or the valley, amen, God is yet still a good God. Amen. You can't do nothing with that. You can't trust it. I think Hammer might have said that, but instead of MCJC said, amen, you can't trust it. Amen. Good morning again to you. God bless you. And to all the leadership, Pastor Carol, to Evangelist Jones, Minister Jackson, Minister Britton, her absent Minister Simmons. Amen. To Evangelist Tate, we formally acknowledge him very soon, all the way from Jamaica. Amen. Amen. You got gospel in there already. And check out her gospel. Amen. I love we got the gospel here. Amen. To all our ministers, to our Chairman Deacon and Deacon Simmons and Deacon Hill, amen, and to Deacon Thomas. And I think Deacon Hughes in his absence. God bless you. I'm missing the preacher. Wait, who the preacher is? I'm missing the preacher. Get all the preachers. It's all the bootleggers that are out there. There's some bootleggers out there. Amen. And again, to all the time, Brother Mike, always, but me and Brother Daddy, that is one of them guys, man. We be playing ball. And if you don't let that is win, or if he don't win, he want to play to the dog. Daddy, we got to go. No, one more game. One more game. And so he beat me. I'm ready to go. He said, don't you want to play for us? Man, I'm 10-1, 9-1. Can I go on? We used to battle, man. Ball didn't have no air. We just ball. It was good to see him. And his sister preached yesterday. His first lady, Pastor Marsh, she preached that thing yesterday. If I wasn't already saved yesterday, I would have got saved on me. And she preached some gospel. We want to share with you what the Lord is saying to us. Amen. In the book of Lamentations, chapter 3. If you would go there with me, if you remember the book of Lamentations, chapter 3. Praise God for his goodness in this verse. We got to go to work, y'all, like never before. Somebody said, I got to step up my game. That's my God game now. I got to step up my God game in Jesus' name. Lamentations, chapter 3. We're going to read verse 22 and 23. Lamentations chapter 3, verse 22 and 23. Say amen when you get it. Amen. I think it's on the board as well. Let's read together. It is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassion Brothers and sisters, it's important that we know God. That we know him via his word. We know him via our life experiences that we have lived right down to the years. It's important that we know the voice of God. Amen. I want to speak about faithfulness this morning because God is a faithful God. We want to talk about faithfulness. Amen. You may be seated. Talk about faithfulness. And I'm going to try my very best, amen, to speak to you where we are right now. Is that all right? Tears are defined simply as drops of salty fluid flowing from the eyes. Tears. They can be caused by irritation or laughter, but are usually associated with weeping, sorrow, and grief. When we cry, friends wonder what's wrong, and they even try to console us. Babies cry for food. Children cry at the loss of a pet. Adults cry when confronted with trauma and or death. Jeremiah, grief, in this particular book, ran extremely deep. He is remembered as the weeping prophet, and his tears flowed from a broken heart. As God spoke, and he knew what lay ahead for Judah, his country, and for Jerusalem, the capital city, the city of God. God's judgment would fall and destruction would come. So Jeremiah wept. His tears was not self-centered, mourning over personal suffering or loss. He wept because the people had rejected God. God who made them, loved them, and sought repeatedly to bless him. Amen. Amen. Bless them. Jeremiah's heart was broken because he knew that the selfishness and sinfulness of people would bring them much suffering and an extended exile. Jeremiah's tears was tears of empathy and sympathy. I'm talking about faithfulness this morning. His heart was broken with things that breaks God's heart. Jeremiah, 2 books focus on one event, the destruction of Jerusalem. 2 books, the book of Jeremiah and this book, Lamentation, Brother Andrew, that we're talking about, amen, focus on the destruction of Jerusalem. How many of y'all see the trouble that we're faced with today? Amen. It says that the book of Jeremiah predict the destruction of Jerusalem, and Lamentations look back on the destruction of Jerusalem. 2017 is gone. Amen. And you got a word from the Lord about being prophesied about being blessed in 2018. That's a good word to have, is that right? Amen. I don't know about y'all, but not only did I get some promises of God's blessing, but I also understood, y'all, that there was a warning that was sent. Because the days draw nigh, the word simply is saying, get right. And we got to get it right now. And so Jeremiah's writing focused on, in his book, the book of Jeremiah, predicting that trouble was coming. And that Lamentations was looking back on. Amen. This book of Lamentations is known as the book of tears, a funeral song for the fallen city of Jerusalem. What makes a person cry says a lot about that person. What makes us cry says a lot. If I keep moving fast enough, I ain't gonna cry. I just keep running. Amen. But if I slow down and think about something, yes, sir. I can realize where the Lord brought me from. A lot of times, y'all, I get grateful. I'll be appreciative because I was like, Lord, have mercy. I don't know how God intended. Blow me away. Tears of joy. But other times, though, other times, y'all, when things just wasn't right, and I know that makes me cry. As long as I ain't got to deal with it, as long as I keep moving. Amen. Amen. What makes a person cry says a lot about that person. What makes a person cry says whether or not that you and I, he or she, is self-centered or God-centered. The book of Lamentations allows us to see what made Jeremiah soft. As one of God's choice servants, he stands alone in the depth of his emotions. Broken by his care for the people, his love for the nation, and his devotion to God. Amen. 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 That's the opening thing I want to say to you about this particular book. Somebody say, talk, God. Talk, God. In this book, he says that in verse number 22. It is of the Lord's mercy that we are not consumed, because his compassion fail not. Remember now, I'm about to write it down. Remember now that Jeremiah, book of Jeremiah, he said to them, hey, listen, I don't even know what it is. I don't know what's going on in the privacy of your own home. I ain't trying to handle you. I ain't trying to be your daddy. Amen. Amen. But I'm the preacher, and God is telling me to tell the people that he loves,
Turn your neighbor on this door. Now, husband and wife might not want it. She already do that to you, women. People think they know your business, but don't know your business. And even if people know your business, don't have the authority to pronounce you guilty or innocent. And if they did, don't have the power to sentence you to whatever. Ain't that good news? Because all people really can do is talk about you. You don't have my money. You don't have my remote. My wife, my children, we talk all you want. I ain't say that now. Other people heard it. But Jeremiah was saying, as a preacher, he said, people of God, Israel, the city of God, we ain't right. We got these idols, we sacrificing, we supposed to be going to church and sacrificing to God, and instead of bringing the fatted calf, we bringing the skinny one, we bringing the mangy one-eyed dog, we ain't giving God the best. We are praising him if we feel like it, we praise him if we don't. We'll give sometimes when we say we can't afford to give, and then we go to the movie and spend $35 on popcorn and a half a soda. Amen. How much? That's about right, $35. Amen. Amen. And the preview is better than the movie, you know. Amen. I watch ESPN now. I don't need to watch the whole game. Just show me when they scored or fumble or something. Give me the highlights. Amen. What they call the red zone. But Jeremiah told the people of God. He told the people of God, listen, our quality of life is hooking up with the light, which is God. And we're living in darkness because we're doing our own thing. Brothers ain't looking out for brothers. Sisters ain't looking out for sisters. Husbands ain't loving wives like they're supposed to. Children doing what they want to do. And everybody's so busy that the thing that we love the most. I saw some TV at both of those funerals, right? And every time at the funeral, we see people we ain't seen. I'm talking about people you care about. People you miss them. And why we ain't spending time together? You understand what I'm saying? That's what was happening. Amen. In this book of Jeremiah, he said, God gonna get you. Don't say it, just turn to him and say it. Y'all just look at me. Don't look at your name. Just tell me. God gonna get you. I always wanted it back over. Now can I do it to you? And you don't even know my business. You better be careful. Some people come there and say stuff, y'all. And you mess around and tell on yourself. You think they know. They don't know now, but they act like they know what you know. I know what you did. Didn't I tell you stuff? We'll be good for that little. We snitching ourselves. They don't be knowing. They don't know, Billy. She don't know. She don't know. Did you eat that piece of cake? No. I know you ate. Okay. But then destruction came. Nebuchadnezzar came and killed everybody in the house. Took all the treasure. They were overthrown by another government, the Babylonians. And this once powerful nation, people of God, amen, now they became slaves. Now they became beat, whipped, raped, taken for thrown in prison, amen, treated like second-class citizens. I wonder if that sounds familiar. Everybody history. Powerful people, kings and princes and owners and had land and they had power because they walked with God and kicked God to the curb. Amen. God sent Babylon. Church, amen. Amen. He sent Babylon, he sent Nebuchadnezzar and put him in exile. So now here lamentation, Jeremiah said, I'm over here. 2 years ago, God told you to stop. A year ago, God told you to stop. So listen, y'all, suffering is a part of being a believer. Y'all with me on that? And if you're suffering for righteousness' sake, give God the glory. What if I'm suffering, y'all, because I'm putting myself in a situation to be suffering? That ain't on God. And you can't have no joy with guilt, remorse, resentment, fear, amen? If I did it to myself, y'all, ain't no sense me trying to think. One thing we need to do is say, Lord, have mercy on my soul. And if God let you know, according to the scripture, It is of the Lord's mercy that we are not consumed. But the piece I want you to get, Evangelist, is that now Jeremiah, by the Holy Ghost, is looking back and saying, okay, God will bless you, and he is God's strategy. Can I talk about it? Amen. God is faithful. Yes, sir. I said, God is faithful. Yes, it is his mercies that we are not consumed. Give me verse 21, sir. Give me verse 21. Thank you. This I recall to my mind, therefore I have hope. Amen. I have hope in Jesus Christ. He is the only Lord and Savior. I want to be open to the change that comes from God. I want the power of change that comes from God. And I'm expecting change that comes from God. Church, amen. Amen. So our hope is in who? God. All right, watch now, verse 22. Let's work with it. It is of the Lord's mercy, his word, that we are not consumed. Thank God. Can we have a party for more mercy? Amen. Anybody here understand and really appreciate God's mercy? I mean, you really appreciate God's mercy, because grace is when he gives us what we don't deserve. He gives us and mercy is when we don't get what we do deserve. And the church ought to be filled up with people who are dancing all day long. Woo, mercy! Thank God for mercy. The Bible says here, because of his compassion that we fail not. This is the draw. This is the strategy of God. This is the God that said that I'm going to have so much mercy. I'm going to bless you so much. I'm going to give you opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. Won't he do it? Yeah. After opportunity after opportunity. That's why I want to show response to God's mercy. Yes, Lord. Yeah. I don't want to do it no more. God's mercy become better than my dynamite. God's mercy become better than some sesame. I'm going to talk fast. So you know what I'm talking about. God's mercy become better than Tyrone. God's mercy become better than top shelf. Yes, top shelf. God's mercy become better than that money that gives you power to make people do anything. God's mercy. God's mercy. God's mercy can dance better than she can dance. God sounds better than he can sound. Say yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Amen. Thank God for mercy. Verse 23. They are renewed. They're renewed every moment. What's renewed every moment? And his compassion. Yeah. See, when you got compassion, that means you see somebody need something and you bless them with it. The devil got the church riding by hungry people and won't give them no food. The devil got the church. This is what happened to Jeremiah now. I mean, people in their family, people in their community needing shoes. They're sitting there with 4 or 5 pairs of shoes in their closet. Won't give a barefoot person a pair of shoes. Church, amen. Amen. The Bible says Jesus went through teaching, preaching, and healing. And when he looked out and he saw the people, he was moved with compassion. Thank you, God. Come on, speak, compassion. Speaking on one another. Be moved with compassion. I love it so many things. We are people who are moved. We don't mind helping. We don't mind loving. We don't mind caring. Amen. We don't mind doing for others. That's right. Get on here and pray. Thank you, Jesus. I love about it, y'all. What we did last year don't count. They said they're renewed every moment. Mercy is renewed. It's about strategy now to win your heart. God want to win your what? God want to win your soul and win your heart, is that right? So his strategy is to give us all the mercy. You can't out sin God's mercy. God is going, matter of fact, God going to turn the heat up on us. He's going to keep blessing us, amen, because he wants your heart. And he figures, I got more love than you got hate. I got more obedience than you got disobedience. At the same time, I got to make that decision for myself. Ain't that good news? So they are renewed every morning. Great! Now, I know what some of y'all think. We went to Georgia last week, and I preached for 2 hours, they said. Evangelist preached about 15, 20 minutes. And some of y'all hoping. Evangelist done rubbed off on them. That's my introduction. Don't look at the front leg, don't be trying to go text her right now. Y'all got out of church early last week, didn't you? Give him enough. Yeah, we did. I love him.
Well, we got word, Pastor.
You're going to get seconds today. Great is God's faithfulness. And what we want to see here in this word and in Jeremiah is that God, with everything that's going on in the world today, that the church, the body of Christ, our God have to give us the example of what faithfulness is about. Faithfulness means being steadfast, firmness, and having fidelity. That being faithful and having the authority. He's in a healing business, delivering business. Amen. Faithfulness is the opposite of being faithful, is to be ever changing or wishy-washy. Said this morning in St. Augustine to the Serenity South that the devil is faithful. Amen. Amen. He's a liar, and he's the father of liars. And he's faithful at it. The devil is faithful at betrayal. And he'll betray your trust. Y'all know him, don't you? Amen. He got, listen. Pain pills, you can depend on them to stop your physical pain for a little while. But after 3-4 hours, you're going to need another. And after 3-4 hours, you're going to need another. And they work. Is that right? If you can't sleep, some sesame will put you to sleep. It's faith. Amen. Our flesh got some things that it has become necessary. Food is good, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
I mean, pork chop, oxtail, some other folks. High blood pressure, 3 pork chops. And take the medicine. But it's reliable, though, ain't it? It depends on the king. What I'm trying to say, y'all, is that there's some things out there that are faithful, but it ain't good for you. And you can depend on it. God is saying, you stack up your team, devil, I'm going to stack up my team. And then I'm going to put my creation, I'm going to put man and let him choose which one. That's why the Bible says, oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. And if anybody like me that done had both, and I look at what the devil got to offer, and I look at what God has got to offer, ain't God got a better package? Ain't God got a better offer? Amen. I ain't gonna say I didn't have fun over there. I enjoyed doing what I did when I did you. Don't get holy sanctified. Then you enjoy. Then you have some fun. But boy, when that light went off, that man pulled over. When that door closed behind you. When we go to jail on Friday, that door go behind me. I got a badge say I can get out. Church, amen. But if you ever been in there, and there's no lock behind you, that don't feel good, is it? Which feel better, going in there or coming in here? Don't fool me now. Which one feel better, y'all? Going in there or coming in here? And so what God is saying to you that I love you, and I bless you, and I want your heart. And every day you get up, I'm going to have air for you to breathe. Every day I'm going to have water for you to drink. Amen. I'll make sure that that you got air conditioning or heat if the lights are on. If you want hot or cold water, I'll bless you with abundance. Have you done it? Has the Lord been good to us, y'all? And you done heard the story. No, I have not lived in poverty. I've heard people who had to pray for their food. Now, I can go to the doctor and thank God that we have medication. That's all good. Amen. We got it pretty good. Is that right? But God is providing for us over and over and over again. I'm going to bless you, and then I'm going to bless you, and I'm going to bless your children, I'm going to bless your grandchildren, I'm going to bless your... Is that God? Is that God? Yeah. Why would he do that when we don't deserve it? What is his strategy? I heard somebody say because. And what does he want in return? And so Jeremiah was saying, y'all, we put ourselves in. But there was a group of people that was with Jeremiah. Watch this next verse. We're gonna go. Give me those scriptures. Look at this scripture. Look at this scripture. 25. Who got the word from Jeremiah? Have your way, Lord. Have your way, Lord. Verse number 25. The Lord is good unto them that wait for him, to the soul that the Lord is good to them that wait for him, and to the soul that it is good that a man shall both hope and quietly wait for the salvation of the Lord. Not denomination here now. This is your personal relationship with God. Amen. Verse 27. It is good. Y'all read it. It is what? It is you. I used to say, y'all, I'm gonna wait till I get old and then get saved. Amen. Now I'm gonna pray tonight while I got life in my body.
I know that's what.
Amen. Verse 28. He sitteth alone and keepeth silent. And so the point I think we want to close with is that Jeremiah was looking back on Israel, and they had a bunch of evil, wicked stuff going on around them. Some that they created, some that others created. But in the midst of that, God gave his people hope. Today, sisters and brothers, we live in a world that's kind of bad. This morning, I think of a train wreck where 2 people died and 50-something got injured on the train wreck. We're so grateful that the great truck got messed up with Dr. Greg. Some of you have been placed in some very difficult situations over the last couple of years. God brought us out. Amen. You know, you can tell a lot about people based on what makes them cry. When I think about what's happening just 10 miles away from us, both west, north, south, and east, we have the ability, and I thank God he's using us to make an impact and a difference in people's lives. But even here in this church this morning, for those of us that are here now, you got to dealing with anxiety, depression, dealing with some. You got loved ones that might be sick. You got some decisions you got to make. Amen. They out there, y'all, that the damage can be done. This is what happened here based on our relationship with God. Amen. There's a spirit out there. There's a communication out there. There's a voice out there that are trying to tell you that you're okay. Amen. We're doing 30%, 40%. Anybody be honest and know that we'll admit that I can do better than what I've been doing? Anybody be honest enough to say I can do better? Fat people do this. Faithful people. And people who are trustworthy, teachable, and friendly. Amen. So, man, I want us fat. I want us fat as we can be, that we can be faithful because God is faithful. When you're sick, God is faithful. Amen. When you're afraid, and I want you to know that God hears our prayer. Amen. When you're afraid, David wrote, "The Lord is my life." In Psalm 27, and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemies and my foes, came upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumbled and fell. Though hope shall camp against me, my heart shall fear. The war shall rise against me. In this will I be confident. He went on to say, one thing that I desire, is that I shall seek out, that I might dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. Understand something, y'all, that I'm not coming to church, but I'm coming to see my brothers and sisters. Dwelling in the house of the Lord happens in my heart. Amen. Before my butt get in the seat. Amen. Dwelling in the house of the Lord, I mean, I love God and I love my brothers and sisters. Dwelling in the house of the Lord, I mean, so my mind and my heart is filled up with in the house of the Lord, and all that other stuff, y'all, ain't no room for me. Amen. Y'all listen to me. There's $1 trillion a day that's spent to win your mind and to win your heart. Amen. Brothers and sisters, if you ain't careful, we will find ourselves spending more time with self and self-centeredness then we will with the Lord.
Amen.
Somebody say, God is faithful.
God is faithful.
God is faithful in danger. God is faithful when the future seems uncertain. This is February. Amen. We got another, the February, and we got March and April, May. We got the rest of the year coming now. Future in America right now, the future y'all ain't clear as it might have been. Are y'all listening to me? Yeah. Future of our next generation, our marriage, even for some of us, the future of our children, it is not quite sure like it's supposed to be. But God is faithful, even when our future seems uncertain. Amen. Isaiah 55 and 6 it says, seek the Lord while he may be found. Call ye upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. Let him return unto the Lord, and he shall have mercy upon him. To our God he would abundantly pardon. God is faithful, even when we are not faithful. God's compassion was at work when the Israelites were experiencing the affliction of the Babylonian conquerors. Although the people had been unfaithful, God's faithfulness was and still great. He used affliction to bring his people back to him. Amen. God will always be faithful to us. His merciful, refining work is evident in his affliction. If you're in this room today, if you ever felt shocked, I mean just sin, and then turn to God and say, Lord, have mercy. Forgive me for my sin. I'm confident that if you prayed that prayer and you were sincere, and ain't but one response, we're going to get from God. He will forgive us for our sins. Church, amen. Amen. Sin has serious consequences. God was angry at this prolonged rebellion by his people. I say God was angry at this prolonged, I didn't just say rebellion, this prolonged rebellion. Sin was the cause of their misery, and destruction was the result of their sin. You go to the emergency room, you in pain. I said, when you go to the ER and you in pain, depending on the level of your pain, whether you're going to sit out there 4 or 5 hours, or they're going to take you straight to the back. Am I right or not? Amen. You got to be almost having a heart attack or can't breathe before you can go to the back. If not, you're going to sit out there for a little while. How many of y'all know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Isn't there a difference to the level of pain? Because what the devil's trying to get us, y'all, is that make our pain about our physical body and not the pain about our mental stress and emotional stress or the sin nature that have gotten hold of us, that it ain't that bad. Amen. In a minute, I'm getting ready to call you to the altar. I know I'm going to stand right here. Wash me, Lord, and wash me thoroughly. Cleanse me from all my sins. Knowingly, the good news is that God is sitting there ready to clean me up. The good news is that God loves me like that. I can't understand why he sometimes put up with me. Have you figured that out? Have you figured out God's mercy and why he's so long-suffering with us? And it makes sense to you now. Have he never not heard your cry? Amen. So he was upset. His son stretched him out. Blood dripping from both hands. Body cut to the white. And this man, our God, hung up there, naked before the world. And rather than having a pity party, what did he say? Father,
Forgive them for they don't know.
Don't you know that word is still good today? Can you imagine if you was in that crowd that day